Court of New Columbia is now in session. The Honorable Judge Matthew Golovic presiding.
Everyone may be seated. Members of the jury, your duty today will be to determine whether the defendant is guilty or not, based only on facts and evidence provided in this case. The prosecution has the burden of proving the guilt of the defendant beyond a reasonable doubt. This burden remains on the prosecution for the trial. The prosecution must prove that a crime was committed and that the defendant is the person who committed the crime. However, if you are not satisfied of the defendant's guilt to that extent, then reasonable doubt exists and the defendant must be found not guilty. Mrs. Kalinowska, what is today's case?
Your Honor, today's case is Chris Moss versus New Columbia Public School District and Dr. Barry Chris.
Is the prosecution ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please proceed with the opening statements. Prosecution.
Okay, so Your Honor, so we have gathered here today in order to solve the case of educational malpractice. And the victim here is Chris Moss, a student who graduated to Columbia School, and he is the one who has been the victim of not well functioning school program. And here we have the representative of the Columbia School, Dr. Terry Priest, who may tell us more about the problems and not well functioning of the school. Also, I believe that the school and all of the tutors and teachers are supposed to be the second family of the teenagers and the students who go to school in order to know more about the world and get appropriate skills in order to get a well future. Also, I believe that when we have the cases of the physicians and surgeons who are also the victims of not being well prepared by the universities and their schools, they won the cases because of not being well prepared. And I believe that and I believe that there should be a fair. I believe that decisions should be made really wisely too. Thank you.
Defense?
Thank you, Your Honor. Excuse me. So, Honorable Judge, audience, the jury. Today's case is on a scale of ridicule. Today's case is an absurd. Today's case is a case of educational malpractice, often called failure to teach. When you hear the testimonies of the defense witnesses and the prosecution witnesses, please keep in mind one question. Is it failure to teach or failure to study? As you will hear from prosecution, Chris Moss was a student very well prepared to become a very good graduate. But then he started missing school. How can a school teach somebody that's not there? How can a school be convicted of educational malpractice if they don't have the student who was supposed to be taught at the school present? How can a teacher teach somebody who's not actually there? How can a teacher improve somebody's abilities if the person is not willing to do homework, to study, even to learn how to read? This plaintiff, sitting right here, Chris Moss, he's concerned with his well-being, with his future job. He's an 18-year-old, and only today he thought, Well, I should be able to read. Because after this day, it didn't matter to him that he could not read or calculate change. How absurd is that? Firstly, you will hear the statements of witnesses for the prosecution. You will hear Chris Moss, who will tell you that he was too lazy to come to the reading program, that he was too irresponsible to attend the lessons, that it was no use to study for exams. He only remembered the exact questions from the revisions. Nextly, you will hear Jerry Stein, the witness that was paid to be here today, the witness that got $1,000 to give you this testimony. How well can we believe this witness if he was paid to give this testimony? Please keep in mind this simple fact. The other fact I would like you to remember during listening to Gary Stein is that the plaintiff wants the school to pay him $20,000 for a personal tutor to elevate his ability to read and calculate. And this tutor, as you well may be thinking right now, will be Gary Stein. How can we believe in a witness that is supposed to be making $20,000 if the plaintiff wins? How believable and trustworthy can his testimony be? Lastly, for the prosecution, we will hear Sidney Payne, an office manager at Browse & Jenkins. He will tell you that he really liked Chris's ability to speak up, to take part in the debate. He will tell you his social skills were pretty good. Do you know why his social skills were pretty good? Because he attended the social life skills class at his school. And he attended it, went to those classes, took part in a mock trial, which he won actually, because he attended the class. He allowed the teacher to teach him, first and last time in his academic career. Then you will hear trustworthy and reasonable, as well as clear, testimonies of the defense witnesses. You will hear Terry Priest, the superintendent of school in New Columbia district, from kindergarten to high school. She will tell you about the well-rounded, great curriculum they have at the schools. She will tell you that as a very experienced teacher, having over 27 years of experience in New Columbia district, she's the one who designed the English curriculum, which the plaintiff is poking so hardly. She designed it, and she feels, as an experienced teacher, as an expert, that is a great, well-rounded curriculum. She will tell you about another student, the student being Alex Lloyd, a student that, as well as Chris Moss, had troubles with reading, but he attended school throughout high school, junior high school and high school. He took the 8th grade standardized test that Chris Moss omitted and didn't make up, and this test showed an ability to read. The instantaneous moment that this showed up in his test, Alex Lloyd's test, a school counselor was notified. Alex Lloyd was given the help he needed to elevate his ability to read. Lastly, for the clear and trustworthy evidence of the defense, we will hear Leslie Brown, a teacher of social studies class, a teacher Chris Moss actually liked because he attended the class. That's why he liked the teacher, because he actually met him. And he stayed in the class, he did his homework time to time, but still it's a good improvement. And he got to know what the class was about. This teacher would tell you that Chris Moss had the ability to learn if he wanted to, that there was a sparkle in him. He was good at debating, but he didn't do his homework. He just studied from the revision notes, night before the exam. Dear jury, when you hear all those testimonies and you have any reasonable doubt about the guilt of the defendant, the school Columbia District, please remember about the reasonable doubt. If there is any reason you could doubt anything witnesses from the prosecution is saying, there has to be a red light in your mind. There has to be this point when you see, well, that doesn't actually make sense. Well, how can we make somebody pay $20,000 for a crime they did not commit? Remember about three things when you listen to Chris Moss' statement. Firstly, failure to teach or failure to study. Second, his irresponsibility. Is it the school's fault he wasn't responsible enough? And third, willingness of a student to participate in a lesson. How can you teach somebody if they're not willing to learn? At the end of this trial, we ask you to dismiss all the sentence that the Chris Moss is given and to pronounce the defendant not guilty. Thank you.
Prosecution, you may call your first witness.
Okay, so I would like to call Chris Moss for the witness. So, please represent yourself.
My name is Chris Moss. I'm 19 years old and I'm a student of New Columbia High School District. New Columbia High School.
Would you like to tell me more about your home situation?
I live with my mother and my younger brother in one-bedroom apartment. My mother always works full-time, so and she also works in a cleaning company in order to support us financially. She usually isn't so often at home, so I spend my time with my younger brother.
So there's only mother. You don't have any father.
Objection, Your Honor. The question is leading.
Okay, let me rephrase it. So you have only mother, right? And a younger brother.
Yes.
Okay, so what?
Excuse me, but before you phrase a question, the question should either be sustained or overruled.
Okay, sorry. So the question.
You can proceed.
Okay, thank you. So what is your experience from New Columbia High School?
I always gone to public schools in New Columbia High. I don't particularly mind going to school, but I think most of the classes were rather boring. The teachers didn't pay attention to all the students. Somewhere more important, and they didn't have this individual approach to every student. Sometimes the assignments don't make sense to me. The teachers frequently say that they don't have time to explain some things. They just lecture us. So I don't think they're completely competent in their teaching.
Okay, so what was your attendance in high school?
My attendance was not so bad. I think I missed some classes, but all kids do. I think that's not the problem. I still pass my tests.
Okay, and could you tell me more about your relationship with the teachers? Who did you like the most, and why?
I really liked the mock trials that we had. It was, I think, with Leslie Brown, and those were the classes that I really liked. But other than that, I think that in maths classes we were only taught to add, subtract, but we weren't taught any practical skills. So I think that from the teachers, Leslie Brown was my favorite, and other teachers just I think that they didn't pay much attention to me.
Why was Leslie Brown your favorite teacher?
Because he organized the mock trials, and I really think that during her classes I learned the most.
So, so could you tell me more about your attempts to find a job?
I tried to find a job in places that my friends had jobs where my friends were hired, but it was very difficult. Most of the times I couldn't properly read the job application, and most of the time I just filled the forms wrongly. But I really felt like a dumb person. I got hired at Hamburger King, but after some time, when I couldn't count the change, so the manager just fired me because he couldn't afford to lose any money, and I can blame him for that. I think that's what every manager would do.
Okay, so didn't your math teacher? Wasn't your math teacher concerned about the fact that you can't?
Your Honor, again, the question is leading.
No, it's
Overruled.
okay. So can you answer, please?
Can you repeat the question?
So wasn't your math teacher concerned about the fact that you can't count properly?
I still passed the test. I think that he didn't pay a lot of attention. They just wanted to teach us adding and subtracting, but the aim of the lesson was not to teach us practical skills like giving change or paying checks. That's
Okay.
not the point of the
Okay,
lesson.
and the last question. Did you have any meetings with your teachers and talks about low grades that you had and the fact that you barely passed?
No, rather not. I thought that there is no point in such meetings. I still passed the test. My mother wasn't worried, so I thought if I learn the night before the test and try to revise just to pass the test, there will be no problem. But now that I see real life, I see that it is a huge problem.
So you didn't have any problems with passing the test?
No, most of the times I just try to revise the night before and I just remember the keywords in the test, so there was no problem passing, but I just forgot all the stuff I learned the day after the test.
Okay, and again, the last question. So the teachers weren't concerned about the fact that you have low grades?
Mostly they were not concerned.
Thank you. That's all.
Okay, the defense may cross-examine the witness.
Chris, may I call you just Chris?
Yes.
Thank you. Firstly, I would like to provide the evidence, Your Honor, report card. Called evidence of defense number 1. Prosecution. May I?
Okay.
So, Chris, could you read out loud your absences and your time study? Like, calculate them. At the bottom of the page.
But all time study together?
All the time study and all the absences here.
Okay, so 23 times study, 36 days absent.
Indeed. And this is a lot of absences, correct?
Yes, but comparing to other kids, it isn't so many.
You know Alex Lloyd, don't you?
Yes.
You're aware that he doesn't have as many absences, do you?
Yes.
Comparing to Alex Lloyd, is it a lot of absences?
Yes.
Thank you. And those absences influenced your marks, didn't they?
No.
Objection, Your Honor. This is a leading question.
Leading questions are allowed in cross-examinations.
Overruled.
Please.
Can you repeat the question? I forgot.
The absences influenced your grades, didn't they?
No, the grades not, just my knowledge. The grades were good still because I passed the test.
A D is not a good grade, is it?
No, but you can get away with Gdynia.
Your Honor, could you instruct the witness just to answer the questions, not be narrative?
Okay.
So please
That's
answer
right.
just yes or no.
Okay.
So, are you aware that D is a passing grade, not a good grade?
Yes.
Thank you. And it's true that you just learned the facts from the revision and the key words before the test, night before the test.
That's true.
That's irresponsible, isn't it?
No, I don't think so.
Is not taking care of your education irresponsible?
No, I was young and I made mistakes like a lot of people do.
So, just to clarify to the jury, not taking care of education is not irresponsible according to the witness, correct?
Now I see it was a mistake, but then
Please do not refer to, do not narrate.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Prosecution.
I would like to call my next witness, Dr. Gdynia.
Excuse me?
Bailey.
Dr. Paris.
Okay.
Please present yourself.
My name is Dr. Stein. I have a bachelor's degree in elementary education, master's degree in supervision education, and specialize in curriculum development.
Okay, so what is your opinion about Chris' potential and actual knowledge?
Objection, Your Honor. Improper opinion. This is not an expert.
Sustained.
Okay, so what was your let me rephrase it. Okay, so what was your interview with Chris and testing like?
So I've been examining him for quite a long time, and as the scores intend, he is below the usual grade level of a high school student. Although he is a really intelligent person and actually could have been learned if the school provided a proper education.
Okay, so could you tell me more about the written policies and the procedures of the school district?
Objection, Your Honor. Improper opinion. This is not an expert on the school district of Columbia.
Well, what should we confirm?
Overruled.
Okay.
Right, so I've also been examining them, and actually I found them really lacking because the school does not actually meet needs of individual students in any way, and furthermore it does not even follow the ones they have. For example, the one connected with the attendance of students.
Okay, so how do you think the situation at home of Chris could interfere with his grades?
Well, the only knowledge about the topic I have is actually the fact that he was missing school a lot, and the school, in spite of its policy about this attendance of its students, did not contact his parents in any way, so they could not actually find out about the reason for Chris' absence and could not intervene in any way.
So you're saying that Chris' mother was not informed about his absence?
Yes, so I only know she did.
Okay, so do you know more about Chris' situation and his passing the grades?
I know that he also missed the 8th grade standardized test, and actually the school has done nothing to make him a situation so he could make up for them, and did not find out that he has a really disability to read or write properly, and so actually they did nothing about it.
So is it Chris or the teachers that failed to teach him the basic skills?
Objection. Again, this witness is not an expert in the Columbia district education. There's an improper opinion.
Sustained.
But I don't think so.
I have a doctorate in it, so I think it's
But
Yeah, I'm an expert, right? Or not? The doctorate in supervision in curriculum development.
You are an expert, you are a doctor. You do not teach.
Okay. So then it
Excuse
was
me, Your Honor, just in the means of clarification, to be an expert, you have to be stated an expert by your prosecutor and sustained by the judge.
okay.
okay, so I'm sorry. Sorry, I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, sir. So, Dr. Gerstein, I would ask you to read something from your addit that you signed before actually coming to this trial. I'm sorry, Your Honor. There are notes on it, but this signature is on the other page if you would like to see it, Your
I
Honor.
would like to see it, yes, please. Fine. You may proceed.
And the signature. Please not to read my notes, it is courtesy.
Okay.
Okay, may I? Thank you. So there's an arrow in the middle of the paragraph. Please read it out loud.
I spent about 4 hours interviewing. It just increased by 6 class.
Thank you. During the interview with the prosecution, you stated you spent a lot of time interviewing Chris Moss, correct?
Yes, I did.
Is 4 hours a lot of time?
For an interview about the student's level of education, I guess it is, as far as I've been told, and during making my master and then doctorate degree, yes, it is enough, and it's quite a lot.
You stated during the interview with the prosecution, you spent hours, emphasis on hours, the S at the end, correct?
Yes, hours with Chris, right?
Sorry?
Hours with Chris, right? And
Yes.
interviewing him. Yes, I did.
Do you believe an emphasis of in hours and 4 hours of actually interviewing Chris Moss are the same statement?
Well, 4 is actually plural, so I believe that there's hours. And it's not a great emphasis.
You have been paid $1,000 to be here today, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
And you would be a personal tutor for Chris Moss if you win this case, correct?
Yeah, well, probably I would, but I can be sure about it.
You're aware that the plaintiff, if he wins this case, gets $20,000 from the school district to pay his personal tutor, here, you.
Well, now I am. I was before. So I didn't get to know about it. I just...
The witness is saying you didn't know before coming to this trial what the sentence was suggested by the plaintiff, correct?
I have it written from my testimony, and but, I just thought about it like a suggestion, and actually I didn't thought of it as a mean of payment for me. But yeah, okay, I was aware of this.
Okay. Are you aware of the practices that happen in the school of New Columbia District?
Practices in the means of education, right?
Practices in means of practices.
In means of
What they're doing with their students, report cards, lessons, extracurricular activities.
Yes, about the standardization test in the 5th and 8th grade, the one that Chris actually missed, and the fact that he gets a four report cards a year, and it actually should have been given to the Chris parents, but no one can be actually sure that they actually were. So.
Are you aware that the report cards have to be signed by a parent?
No, I'm not.
The report cards have to be signed by a parent? and when they come back to school with a signature, so the school knows that the parents read the report cards. You weren't aware of that, were you?
No, actually, I didn't have it in my testimony, so this. But,
Could you repeat this last sentence?
I actually did not have that in my testimony, so I didn't just have the.
You write
the
your
fact.
testimony, so...
Yeah, I've read it, and actually it was only the fact that the school and the school's principal can't be sure about the fact that the parents actually take care and actually are given those report cards. And I wasn't aware of any means that school can assure that they actually do read it.
Are you insinuating that Christmas fabricated his mother's signature on the report cards?
I'm not, but
Objection, Your Honor. This is an irrelevant question.
May I respond? Your Honor.
Okay, please.
This question is related to the other statement that the school cannot be sure if the parents seen this report card, but there is a signature of his mother on the report cards. So somebody has to give the signature.
Overruled.
well, so if the,
Please, will you speak up a bit?
okay. So if the student in the system is able to make her parent's signature and actually a fake signature, so that's basically only means that the system is quite bad and it does not really let the parents know about their students' level of education and actually how they are doing it in school.
Is fabricating your parent's signature on a report card irresponsible?
Yes, it is. Of course it is. But
So, fabrication of a signature of your parent on Chris's report card was irresponsible, wasn't it?
yes, of course it is.
So Christmas was an irresponsible person.
I don't think you can state it only based on that fact, because faking one signature is not actually meaning that a person is irresponsible and can't actually live in a normal society and have problems with it as Chris.
Please.
Thank you, Your Honor. So could you state yes or no to the question I asked you earlier?
No, he is not an irresponsible person.
Okay, so faking the signature is irresponsible, but the person who is faking it is not irresponsible, correct?
Yeah, right. If you want to respond yes or no, it's yes, he is a responsible person, because the only fact that he faked the signature does not actually mean that he is a responsible person as well.
Do you see any trouble with your reasoning right now?
Yeah, I see. I'm trying to keep it.
Thank you. So, are you aware of the program of reading before school?
Yeah.
Are you aware of what consists in this program?
Yes, the teacher is actually reading books, right, with the students. That's all that happens.
Are you aware there are 3 groups of readers in this program? The kindergarten, the junior high school, and the high school?
No.
How can you give testimony if you're not aware of what's going on?
I'm aware about the fact that the only way that students are taught to read is that one lesson before they actually lessons after, and in my opinion that's something more that should be done about it. Well, that's they progress.
Yes or no, not be narrative.
Okay,
Right,
excuse me. So, question again, please.
Doesn't matter anymore. Your Honor, rest of his testimony. Again, the same signature, the same testimony.
Proceed.
The signature on the other side. Thank you. Could you read this paragraph about what a reading program should look like? 3 points.
Okay. The reading program should be redesigned to include these elements: developmental reading, systematic sequential instruction that begins in the preschool years and continues throughout high school, functional reading, practice using reading to solve problems in widely diverse school and other life areas, and for high schoolers, right, independent recreational reading, time and materials to foster lifetime reading habits.
Thank you. Are you aware that program started in kindergarten?
That was my suggestion, and I suggested that it should start in kindergarten.
Are you aware it does start? It has been starting in kindergarten since 3 years ago.
No, I wouldn't.
You're criticizing something you have no idea about, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Execution, you may proceed with the last witness.
I'd like to present the snipping, the office manager of Bowers and Jenkins.
Mrs. Marcevich, please have the witness. Please hold the witness.
No, the snipping.
Yes, please.
So, could you please present yourself?
Yes, my name is Sydney Payne. I live in 4433 Fox Hill Drive in Metro City. I work as an office manager for Bowers and Jenkins. I'm responsible for hiring new employees, and I have two children. The first one is Bobby, who's 15 years old, and the second is Jane, 11 years old.
Okay. So, when did you first meet Chris?
Well, we try to expand our new company, and now we are increasing the number of employees. So I got an application form from Chris, and I really like Chris, but actually this application form was filled badly, and I saw that he couldn't stand the normal writing and reading sense.
Okay, so let me present this application form as an evidence, which clearly says that Chris has problems with the basic skills.
Could you repeat what this statement is? What this evidence is?
This is the application, the job application. And it clearly states that Chris has some major problems with the basic skills.
Thank you.
So, could you tell me more about Chris?
Yeah, so then I tried to find out something about him, and I got to know that he was working in the Hamburger King, and actually he got fired for giving the wrong change to the customers. And that is also the true of his counting, that he just has problems with counting, writing,
Excuse
and
me, will the jury please represent the owner? Thank you. You may proceed.
okay, so yeah, so he was working in the Hamburger King, and he also applied for several jobs, but in each he was rejected. His application form was rejected.
Okay, so could you please once more tell me why didn't you hire him?
Well, so in our company you need to know the basis of writing and reading, and actually I couldn't give him the job because he was just too weak. He wouldn't stand the opportunities and the responsibilities of the work. And I think that it was better for my company and for him that I didn't give him a job.
Okay, so you said that you have two children, and do they attend public schools or?
No, I actually attended public school, and several friends of mine were attending private, and I have to say that they were better, these private schools, and I decided to put my children to the private school, although it was way farther than the public school from our house.
Okay, so if Chris had only the basic skills about counting, for example, and operating in the language and reading, do you think that you would hire him?
Yes, I think that he would stand to the responsibilities and he will be a good employee.
Okay. So thank you. Thank you.
Defense, you may cross-examine the witness. Thank you.
So, I'm sorry, Sydney Payne, right? So you went to school over 20 years ago, correct?
Yes,
And you went to a school not in the Columbia district, correct?
not in Colombia.
So you have no idea what the Columbia district school looks like, correct?
Yeah, that's true.
So please answer the question and not be narrative. So you have friends that went to private schools,
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
Not in the Columbia district.
not in Colombia.
Your kids go to a private school in New Columbia district, correct?
Yes.
Still, you have no idea what a public school in New Columbia district looks like.
Actually, I have an idea because in my company there were 3 employees who were attending the New Columbia school, and all of them had problems with reading, writing, and counting. And the first one quit after 2 months, and he couldn't stand the basis. And the second one, I had to fire him because he was also too weak. And actually the third one was pretty good, and he left my job to go to the other law company where he could earn more.
Let me ask you some foundation questions right now. If there are 2 people in Poland that are absolutely stupid and they go to England and they behave stupidly, does that mean that Poland is a country of stupid people?
No, it doesn't.
Objection. I believe that this is an irrelevant question.
That's a foundation. Overruled. So, if there are 2 people who are absolutely worthless when it comes to reading and counting, and they go to your firm, and they're from New Columbia district, that does not mean that the New Columbia district school is worthless. Correct?
Yes, but I've also...
Please just answer the questions and not be narrative.
Okay, yes.
Sure. You're talking about responsibilities, correct?
Yes.
You're saying that the person that left your firm was a responsible person, correct?
No, he was responsible.
Excuse me?
No, the first employee was pretty good. I think I said it.
Would you say that being absent from school as much as Christmas was, let me remind you, over 60 hours of absences of late, is irresponsible
No, of course
behavior?
it is irresponsible, but yeah, it is irresponsible. And
Does a school make Christmas be irresponsible? Does your school make him miss school?
no. So,
So is it the school fault that he's irresponsible and he doesn't know how to read or write?
yeah, partly it is. And he wasn't the
Please
only...
not be narrative.
Actually, but I have to say that he wasn't the only person who had problems with writing with the basic skills.
As we discussed previously, just 2 people is not the whole amount of school, that every single person in school. There are 2 representatives that went to your firm, correct?
Yes, correct.
Your firm is not the highest in the ranks of the graduate employment, correct?
Yes, this is correct.
So not the brightest students come to your firm after graduated, correct?
Correct.
So you do not expect them to be college material, correct?
No, I don't expect, but I expect that they know the basic skills. They know how to write, how to read. They can give the change in any shop. They can count.
Let's come to the change in the shop matter. What actions, like mathematical actions, do you need to give change?
Well, just something like adding. This is the whole, and you don't see. You just have to count. This is all.
In kindergarten, in the school curriculum, Christmas was taught how to add and multiply and subtract and divide. Were you aware of that?
Yeah, I was aware. Also was taught.
So
Yeah, but
he was taught how to add, subtract, divide, and multiply, correct?
correct.
Correct. Christmas was taught how to use mathematics and how to give change, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Defense, you may call your first witness.
Indeed, I would like to call to the stand Dr. Terry Priest. Your Honor, please give me a minute.
I'm sorry, I'm afraid a minute is a bit too much.
Half a minute.
But 50 seconds will go.
Okay. So, Mrs. Terry Priest, please introduce yourself to the jury, the judge, the prosecution.
My name is Dr. Terry Priest, and I am the superintendent of schools for the New Columbia School District. I have PhD in education supervision and have been superintendent for the past 12 years. Prior to that time, I was assistant superintendent for 7 years, a curriculum specialist for 3 years, a principal of senior high school for 4 years, and English teacher for 5 years. All my work experience was with the New Columbia School District.
Could you sum up those years? How many years have you got experience?
7 of experience.
Your Honor, I would like to state Terry Priest as an expert in educational field.
Overruled. Yes. Yes.
Sustained, right?
Right.
Thank you. Could you tell the jury about the educational system of school of New Columbia District?
Yes, I'm very proud of our school district because we have an excellent traditional educational system, and all of our students are exposed to a well-rounded curriculum where the basics such as writing, reading, arithmetics are taught. Yes.
Are there any extracurricular activities at your school?
We have vocational training programs where students who are not good enough in reading, in writing, in arithmetics can find, we help them find jobs and help to find them vocation.
Did Christmas take these classes?
Yes, he did. No, he didn't.
Please, did he or did he not?
No, he didn't. Sorry. I have so many students.
Yes. Could you tell the jury more about the reading program that Christmas is actually so mocking?
Yes, we implemented 3 years ago a reading program, which all of our students were reading for the first hour of a school day, of every school day, because we feel that reading is so important.
Are there enough teachers for every student that wants to take part in this activity?
Yes, there are enough teachers available for all students who want to read.
And this activity is open to any student who has problems with reading?
Yes, indeed.
So Christmas would have been able to take part in this activity?
Yes.
Did he?
No.
He didn't. What's your opinion on Chris's absences and Grace relation?
Chris, as an expert, I can say that Chris has been lazy and had participated. If he had participated in a program, Chris' skills would be better. Excuse me. His attendance was very poor, and I think if my students who attended those classes had better grades, so I think that attendance is very important in this.
As an expert, do you think that reading influences your ability to learn?
Yes, it does.
And as an expert on the reading program, how much did the grade level for people that actually attended the reading program jumped up?
Can I say an example?
Yes,
Alex.
okay.
Yes. So I have a student called Alex Lloyd, and he had problems in 5th grade with reading, but in 8th grade he took standardizing tests, which Chris Moss didn't, and thanks to that, school counselor could help him with his poor ability with reading, and told him to participate in the reading program, which resulted in a very good skills in reading.
As an expert, would you say that participating of Chris Moss in this activity would influence his grades as well?
Yes, it would.
If he had participated?
Yes, if he had participated.
Okay. Could you tell me more about your math curriculum? I'm sure that you know more about English since Terry is creator of the English program, but what about the math program?
About the math curriculum, it includes the basic skills the students should have, such as dividing, multiplying, subtracting, and adding.
Could you tell me which of these actions are used to give change?
Subtracting, adding, multiplying, and dividing.
And every student is taught that,
Yes.
if he's at school.
Yes.
Was Chris Moss absent most of the time on math lessons?
Yes.
If, as an expert, if Chris Moss had attended the math lessons, he would have been able to give change.
Yes.
That's your expert opinion.
Yes.
Thank you. What would you say about the problem of school not teaching or parents not teaching? Do you think that parents should teach children at home?
Yes, it's very important because the program won't work unless we are going to be a team. It's going to be a teamwork because parents should teach their students. They should engage in the school system and help and make sure that they are present on the lessons, as well as we, as the teachers, we do our best to teach our students.
Did you inform Chris's mother about his missing the standardized test in 8th grade?
His mother knew about the test that he didn't make up because we sent her a message, and they did nothing.
Did Chris' mother send any notes when Chris missed school, when he was decreasing in attendance? Did Alex Lloyd's parents send notes when he missed school? Every single moment Alex Lloyd missed school, a parent notified the school.
Excuse me?
Every single time Alex Lloyd missed school, a parent of his notified the school why that was.
Yes.
Indeed. And could you tell me more about the social life skill class?
Social life skill. They learn, yes, we have a life skill program where our students learn how to fill out a job application, how to go on job interviews, and yes, and thank you.
Did Chris participate in those lessons?
Yes, he did, but he received a D.
Why did he receive a D?
Because of his absence, which was quite often.
Okay. As an expert again, would you say that if Chris attended the social life skills class, he would have been able to get a job, would have been able to fill out a job application and go for an interview successfully?
Yes.
So, as an expert, do you think that Chris's most irresponsibility was the factor that influenced him not getting a job?
Yes.
Indeed. Could you please tell us about the report cards? How often are they distributed?
They are distributed 4 times a year, and deficiency notices are sent to the parents, and they have to return them they have to return them to school signed by parents.
And what about parent-teacher meetings?
Teacher meetings, there are there are special days where the school is closed and the teachers can meet with parents and talk and say their concerns. And school is open for any we are open for any notes, and they can call us anytime they want. But of course, we won't take teachers from classes and for a talk because they are having lessons, so we can always call them.
Did Chris's mother participate in any of these parent-teacher conferences?
No.
Did Alex Lloyd's parents participate in those parent-teacher
Yes.
conferences? Was it different between Alex's and Chris's grade?
Chris's grade were worse than Alex Lloyd, but at the beginning they were very similar. Alex Lloyd grades were improved after he took the part in the reading program.
Yes. I'm sorry, I just need to get some air. Would you say, as an expert in education, that this not caring about Chris's Moss education as his mother was irresponsible?
Yes.
Would you say that this irresponsibility led to his decrease in ability to read, calculate, get a job?
Could you repeat it?
Would you say that her irresponsibility
Yes.
led to this problem?
Objection, that is a legal question.
The witness already answered, so...
Yeah, I suppose.
Yes.
So,
It doesn't matter because she answered.
yeah, it was a bit too late, sorry.
What would you say about the parents, this kind of parents as Chris's mother, that just send their kids to school and don't care about what's going on there?
We don't have much patience for such parents who are not involved in their school life, and they just send their child to a school without checking what's going on. And I find it really irresponsible.
Okay. And is there any program that encourages young people to increase their attendance?
Excuse me?
Is there any program, any extracurricular activities, any tricks that the student can get if they get better attendance?
Yes, there are.
Thank you. So the school is encouraging students to take part in lessons, even more, not from the grades, but from the trips, and additional extra presents. Please speak properly. Give your answer
Yes
properly.
or no?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Prosecution, you may cross-examine.
So, you previously said that you treat your job really professionally and work for about 27 years.
27 years.
So you say that you and the Columbia School treats every student individually, not as a mass, as a whole.
Yes.
So previously, in your previous statement, you said that that Chris didn't attend the life skills, the life skills program.
Objection, that's
And
not what the witness said. The witness said...
Exactly that is. And then she changed her mind and said that we can do. So I believe
Change her mind.
could you please let me
Overruled.
So I believe that you don't really treat students as individuals because you don't really know so much about Chris as a student.
No, excuse me, but I am a superintendent of schools, not of school, and I have a lot of students. And I know a lot about my students as an individuals, but maybe not the specifics.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake.
Okay, so you also what next? You you say that there was this reading program before the lesson started.
Yes.
And Chris didn't attend this lesson because they were too early in the morning. So what is interesting is that there was one student, Alex, that you treat as an example. And if you want to take all of the students individually, you cannot compare Alex to Chris, as you know that they have different situations at home. And as a teacher, as a person who works with students, you should know that the situation at home really influences what the student is like.
Yes.
So you want to blame the mother of Chris for all of his irresponsibility, right?
No, I don't think so.
So can it be the problem of the teacher's failure and the fact that the teachers cannot teach that Chris did not teach?
I'm concerned that my teachers are very passionate about their work. Their experience with my school is it's about over 15 years of most of our teachers, and so they know their job quite well, very well. And yes.
Okay, so they know the job really well. So the question is, if they know their job, how come that they never bothered, and the fact that Chris' mom didn't come to school? So they didn't care about it at all.
We, as I said before, we sent report cards and deficiency notices about the student's absence to the parents, and we got the parents sign. The parent of Chris Moss didn't do anything about his absence on the 8th standardizing test, and we cannot force him to do so. It's also parents' job to get involved in the school system and help him also.
Okay, so again you said parents, when you know that Chris has only one lesson time. So again, this is treating students individually, very professional. Also,
Objection, that's argumentative. The prosecution is harassing the witness.
Sorry. Okay, so what's next? What is interesting, how come that Chris Moss graduated high school when he had no basic skills in reading and counting?
Because he passed the exams.
How come that he passed the exams when he cannot read?
I don't know.
Is it the problem with the educational system?
No, it's not a problem. He can read, but I don't know how come he did well in the exams. But I think that if he did pass the exam, he has some basic skills of reading. So I don't
This
think so.
cannot be you wondering because he cannot find any job because he cannot count and read.
He can read.
No, he can't.
At all?
No, there is a problem that an 18-year person shouldn't have. So he went to school from the primary through the junior high school and then high school.
Objection, Chris Moss was reading his statements when he was a witness, so he can read.
He can read, but
He read his statement when he was a witness. So he either can read or he reads minds.
He can read. He can read poorly, I guess, but he can read. So as to do the exam, to pass exam. He understands words. I don't know.
Okay, so and in your statement you said I can show you with the signature. Okay, so in the very end you said that the best we can do, maybe you should read it.
The best we can do is to provide each student the opportunity to learn. You can't say the schools have failed Chris, but rather that Chris and Chris's mother must take responsibility for low grades and the lack of academic ability.
So you said that this is all fault of Chris and his mother, and you also said that the best we can do is provide each student the opportunity to learn. What I think, and is in the statute of New Columbia Educational Codes, section 2097, each school district may I read.
Yes.
Okay, so each school district shall develop proficiency standards which shall include, but need not be limited to, reading comprehension, writing and computation skills in English language necessary for success in school and life experience, and shall be such as will enable individual achievement to be ascertained and evaluated. So, do you get my point? My point is that you said that you only should give the opportunity to learn. And what I believe that if Chris fails in attempts to find a job, and doesn't know the basic skills that should be provided by the school for such a long time that he attended, I believe that this is the school's failure, that they graduated such students.
I don't think so, because when he passed the exams, it shows that he has some ability to read and to write, and we graduated him because his skills and his grades were fair enough to pass.
Fair enough. So he cannot find a job because he cannot count, and these are the fair enough grades.
Yes, they were fair enough to pass. To pass the exam.
So does it mean that your school New Columbia level is so low?
No, it's not low, but it allows him to get to graduate.
Graduate.
Yes.
So what does it mean? What does graduating mean? Because now I would like to
It's a level, the marks you have to have and the results in exams in order to find a job or
exactly. And he cannot do this because he doesn't have these basic skills.
But
because it was not provided.
Because it's of his low attendance.
Objection. Asked and answered. This question was here on the stand at least 3 times for prosecution.
Sustained.
Okay, so the last question is. Okay. So, do you think that the whole problem with Chris was about his mother and his absence from school?
I think it's about his attitude to school, also about his absence, because when he is not on the lesson, he cannot learn because of not being at that lesson. Also, I think I understand a difficult situation in the family, but I think that his mom probably has an hour or 15 minutes to come to school and talk with teachers and discuss the problem as a teamwork and team effort. Do a team effort, and maybe we could help him, because I never heard from him that he needs help. As I said before, Alex Lloyd, who had similar skills to Chris, because of his parents, we were able to help him. So the same would happen in this situation.
So weren't the low grades the very weak possibility to count and to read a good reason to help him more?
Yes, it was very good reason.
So why didn't you do this?
Because I think that we have many students and we cannot focus on the individual only. And we do our best, but I think we need some support from the parents' side, as they should, if they see a problem, they should come to us and discuss the problem all together.
Okay, so you say that you are the passive ones, and that the parents should be the leading ones in the room.
They should help us.
They should.
Not like,
Excuse me, will the jury please calm down a bit because it's being a bit noisy. Thank you. You may proceed.
Okay, so so the last question. So at first you said that you admitted that you treat students individually, and now you say that you cannot treat students individually.
we do our best to treat them individually.
You do your best. Okay, thank you. That's all.
Your Honor, I would like to respond to the cross-examination. That's my point.
Same.
So only 3 questions for you. First question. Are you aware of the method that Chris Moss used to pass the exams?
No.
Allow me to elaborate on that. Chris Moss memorized every single answer from the revision guide he got before the test, memorized the keywords that's quoted in Chris Moss' statement, and then he passed, forgetting everything the day after. That's quoting the statement that Chris Moss gave before this trial. Would you say that's responsible?
No.
Thank you. And this one is the status of New Columbia as well, about the question of giving opportunities. That's the only thing the school can give. Now quoting New Columbia Edu Code section 2099, instructional procedures. Each competent educator shall create an atmosphere that encourages learning. Not makes them learn, not makes them sit there and learn. Encourages learning by an atmosphere. Would you say that encouraging an atmosphere is giving an opportunity?
Yes.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I would like to... Excuse me, it's not the language, only English here.
I'm sorry.
The defense, you may call your second witness.
Indeed, I would like to call Alex Lloyd to the stand.
Excuse me, you should go there. Thank you.
Could you introduce yourself to us?
Hello, I'm Alex Lloyd. I'm 17 years old and I go to the high school, Columbia High School. I have been going to the Columbian school since I was 5 years old. And I'm a friend of Chris.
How long have you known him?
Since a very long time. We live in the same apartment complex.
So, is it the same social situation, you and Chris?
He goes out for more parties and stuff. I tend to attend lessons.
What do you think about his absences?
I think he's irresponsible, and it...
Objection, Your Honor. I believe that this is not the right person to give their opinion about the absences.
May I respond?
Okay.
This is a long-time friend of Chris Moss. He can have an opinion on his behavior from a friend's point of view.
And
Sorry, you cannot speak anymore. Because of overload. Yeah. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm sorry. It just came.
Mind your language.
Yes, I'm sorry. So please tell us more about the absences. I'm so sorry, Your Honor. So his attendance was low.
Yes, attendance was very low. He was a party animal and he didn't come to school because...
Okay. And what about your attendance? How does your school encourage you to have a higher attendance?
I have a trip planned to Williamsburg and only 10 students were selected, the students with the highest attendance. There we'll go to some schools, some universities, and we'll party, and it will be a really nice trip.
Would you call yourself a responsible person?
Yes, I think I will. I would say I'm a responsible person.
Would you call yourself a responsible person because you didn't have any absences at school?
Yes, I surely would. And because I have a caring stepfather and
Would you call a person that has absences at school an irresponsible person?
yes,
So, would you call a Chris a responsible person?
yes.
Thank you.
Members.
Yes.
So you said that how well do you know Christmas?
Quite well. We live in the same apartment complex, and I have known him since I was a small kid.
Okay, so you have known him for a long time, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how come that now you speak against him?
Because we hang out with different people, he goes to parties, and I prefer to stay in school and be an honorable human being.
So he was attending parties and you rather study.
Yes.
So you said that did you have a social life?
To be honest, I did have some friends, and I also worked in that grocery store, and I met some new friends there.
Okay, so you had friends and you preferred to study, and still you had seats.
Yes. Because I only concentrated on subjects I liked.
Okay. So do you think that you are a good comparison to Christmas in the terms of being well educated
Yes, because we had the same opportunities.
and opportunities? So do you have mother and a stepfather, right?
Yes.
And do you have any siblings?
No.
So Chris has only mother, and he has a younger brother. And I believe that you said like a few minutes before that you have a caring stepfather who cares about you also, of course, and who tells you who gives you right opinions.
Yes.
So first of all, Chris doesn't have a stepfather, who is really important for a young boy. And what else is that he went to many parties. Is there a possibility that you are jealous of the fact?
No.
Objection, Your Honor. That's harassment and argumentative from the side of prosecution.
Yes.
Sustained.
So, okay, so what do you think about the whole education system in school?
It's good. I think except some factors, some subjects that I don't like, I like attending school, and it's fun. I get opportunities like trips. I think the system is good.
Okay, so how many maybe other ways? Who is your favorite teacher?
I would say the counselor is my favorite. She's not really a teacher, but she is the figure in school. She is very good.
So you believe that you are treated individually?
Yes.
Okay. When exactly did you stop being friends with Chris?
A few years ago, maybe, because since I started attending lessons like regularly, and even when it was snowing, I used to go to school, whereas Chris, he stopped.
Okay, so just because he didn't attend lessons, this meant that you cannot be friends with him.
Objection. That's more prejudicial than probative. This is prejudice from the side of prosecution and Chris's Small's lifestyle compared to the lifestyle of Alex.
You can make comparisons. I believe that all.
But that's prejudice. Overruled.
So as I was saying, I stopped being friends with him because I think he had a bad effect on me. And also, he would drag me down with him, in my opinion. So I stopped hanging out with him because I want to be a good person and I want to work in a grocery store.
Okay. So if you previously known Chris really well because you were friends and you lived next to each other, what was his opinion about school?
I don't really know. We didn't talk about that.
You didn't talk about school, and now you
No.
say that you attend school because you really like this.
It's because I am encouraged by my mother and stepfather.
Okay. And do you know a relationship between Chris' mother and him?
No.
No, you are friends, but you don't know
No.
at all.
I and to not get personal with my friends. We just stay on the living places.
Okay. Okay. So that's all. Thank you.
You're very step down.
Leave this one.
Your Honor, I'd like to call Leslie Brown to the stand. Could you introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Leslie Brown. I have a BA degree in secondary education, and Christmas was one of my students in the social studies.
Do you have any other certificates besides the BA?
No.
You have a BA in education, correct?
Yes, in English and social studies.
I would like to state this witness as an expert in education in social studies and English.
Sustained.
Great. What do you try to achieve when you have a lesson with students in social studies?
I wanted to give them different types of activities, such as mock trials, debates, role plays, small groups, and also some discussions to show them different types of learning and preparing some and giving them some knowledge.
Do you think, as an expert, that this is beneficial to the education of Christmas?
Yes.
Are you rather a person that thinks about the group or individual needs of your students?
Individual needs of students.
So as an expert, you would say that your curriculum consists of activities that just try to achieve the best and the most important abilities from these students, individual students?
Yes.
Yes. What kind of students do you have in your class? Are they all the same or are they different levels?
There are different levels. There are some students that have problems with reading, some problems with skills connected with their vocabulary, or different.
What do you do to include them in your lessons?
For example, when we have a reading task or role play, and there are students that have problems with reading, I want the student that is good in reading to read all the roles so that everyone can participate and understand what are we going to do in this lesson.
Okay. What are the constants of a grade? When you grade students, what do you take into account?
Test grades, homework, also attendance in classes, and some activities such as mock trials and preparation.
How do you grade homework?
I give them, I give credit to those who prepare homework, even though the answers are wrong.
So would you say you're encouraging students to do homework?
Yes.
So as an expert, you would say that encouraging students to do homework by grading them on giving it back is beneficial for their responsibility.
Yes.
Did Chris give you the homework back?
Not really.
Did his grade lose out because of this homework deficit?
Yes, a bit, and also because of the tests. He usually got D's, and sometimes he got C's.
Okay. Would you say that not giving your homework back is a responsible action?
Objection, that was a leading question.
Sustained. Okay. How responsible is a student that doesn't give back your homework?
He's not responsible.
So, when Chris didn't give you back his homework, was he responsible?
No.
Was Chris most a responsible student?
No.
Okay. Could you tell us a bit more about what Chris liked? What Chris liked about your class?
He liked to take part in mock trials. He also got a reward for the best witness, and he really prepared for it.
What was his attendance like in your classes?
Sometimes he was, sometimes not.
Was it on a better or worse side of the spectrum?
Better.
Sorry?
Better.
Better. So you would say, would you say that going to class influenced his grade and his enjoyment in the class?
Yes, but the test grades were low.
And when Chris Moss, prepared for the mock trial, did he take any responsibility for what he was doing?
Yes.
So then he was responsible when he
Yes.
prepared. Was he responsible when he attended your class?
Yes.
Yes. So you would say that attendance to class is responsibility. It equals responsibility. Okay. Thank you.
So, how was it at Christmas?
Well, I teach about 4 years in this school.
Okay, so could you answer my question, please?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe let me help you. In the statement, you said that Chris is a very personable
And
like
like
Chris
for you, and
Chris
also
is, yeah.
personable and like first.
So you said that Chris is a very personable, likable student, and he often participates in class and offers good ideas in class discussions.
Yes.
So does it mean that he attends your classes?
Yes.
So you also, are you aware of the fact that you are his favorite teacher?
So if you
Are you aware of the fact that you are his favorite teacher in the whole school?
I don't know.
Okay, so you weren't aware of this fact, so you cannot know any justifications for this. Okay, so how you said that you have a very individual, that you treat every student really individually.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. So you knew that. So how come that you didn't know that Chris liked you really much?
Objection is irrelevant if the witness knew that Chris most liked her.
Okay, so did you talk about Chris with other teachers?
No.
No. Didn't you have any meetings?
We have at the beginning of the year, and there was a meeting, but I don't remember.
So you didn't have any meetings where you discussed the problems of the problems and so the problems of every student in your classes.
No.
So you also knew that Chris tests were basically a failure.
Yeah, but in when it came to other activities, he was good and gave them my classes.
Okay. So what do you think was the reason for his failure in the tests?
Lack of skills. My tests are true or false, blank space, some essay questions, small, short one, and when you have all results good, then pass the test. If not,
Okay, so who do you think should be responsible for the skills of the students? For improving the skills of the students?
well, I try to, before every test,
No, please answer my question.
yes,
Who is responsible?
teacher.
Exactly, the teacher. So you think, so you knew that Chris' tests were a failure, and still, what did you do to improve it?
Well, we had summary of each.
So, but still, you say about the class as a whole. You don't speak. You didn't say individually about each of the students. And if you knew that Chris, you said previously that your students are on different levels.
Yeah.
So, as we all know, Chris was at the lowest level because he can't really read so well and count as well as he should. So you still say that you had this sorry. And if when it comes to Chris and the defense,
But I'm open to when students don't know anything, they can come and ask me.
but from the test, you should know that Chris failed.
Yeah.
And it's not only, I believe, not I believe, but if you object, no objection. So, do you think that a student, a 17, 16, and 18-year-old student, is responsible enough to know what is best for him?
Objection. That's called for speculation. The witness is not a psychologist.
No, but she's a teacher. So
But she's an expert, and
But not in the field of psychology, but in the field.
yes, but teachers are also they must know about psychology of their students a bit. I mean, it's if there are good teachers, yes. I overrule.
Okay, so my question was, again, okay, so could you please answer, because you knew that his tests were a failure, and still, did you do anything to help him, even if he didn't demand the help from you?
I tried to learn such activities to help during my classes.
Okay, so you tried to help.
Yes.
And still his grades were really low.
Yes.
And he didn't talk with other teachers about his problems with studying. No, he didn't. So, do you think that this could be the problem of the education in your school, of the system of education in your school, that you didn't discuss the problems of other students with other teachers?
Yes, maybe one of the things.
So this. So also, do you think that Chris' level of education and his ability to count and to read was good enough to graduate from high school?
Yes.
So you think that this was?
It was enough.
It
It
was
was graduate because our school policy is to pass all students that are.
But doesn't your school policy state that you are supposed to teach students to
Yes.
count and to read,
But
not only to pass?
yes,
Right?
okay, yes, but his level was enough to pass the exam and to graduate from school.
Thank you.
Thank you. You might step down. I believe that was the last witness, and if so, I would like the evidences to be passed to me, all the evidences that were brought during the
Excuse me, what about closing statement?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. It's so hot here. My brain maybe evaporates somewhere. So please, proceed to the closing statement.
Okay, so honored audience and honored judge, today we spoke about the problem of Christmas, who lacked in his his basic skills that should be provided by the teachers in his new Columbia school. And through all the trial, the defense spoke about his irresponsibility. And I believe that the student, the person who is 16, 17 or 18, is not responsible enough to take care of his problems. And I believe that that is where teachers and parents come into life to help him find the right way. Also, we knew that Chris' situation was not so good because his mother had to work all the time, and he had also a younger brother. He had no father, not as the witness of the defense, Alex, right? Who had a stepfather who cared for him and told him what to do when he didn't know what to do. Also, I believe that there was a teacher failure because I knew that there was a problem with Chris' absence from school, from the lessons. And I think that that was not only Chris' irresponsibility, but I think that this was also a problem of the teachers and their failure in teaching, because how come that the student doesn't attend to all of the classes? Also, one of the teachers stated that they didn't speak about problems with Chris and other students because they didn't have any meetings. And I believe that this all is connected with the educational malpractice that happened here. And also, I think that the only victim in here is Chris Moss, who should be paid this $20,000 and should be given an appropriate education to get a job and to get a fine living. Also, I think that this is we should not underestimate this case because I think that the younger people and also students are the future of our country, and I believe that we should take care of them as much as possible and treat them as individuals and not as a whole. And that is why I think that I ask you for the fair trade. Thank you. That's
Dear jury, this statement I'm about to give might be a little bit of a shock to you, because I, as a defense, agree with the first part of the prosecution's statement. Yes, Chris Moss didn't have a father. Chris Moss's mother was always working. He wasn't looked after properly. He had poor attendance. He didn't participate in classes. Here is where my agreeing with prosecution ends, because the reasons the prosecution gave you for convicting the school of educational malpractice are on a scale of ridicule at 10 out of 10. How can we make teachers break law and talk about students when they're not there, without their permission, without the permission of their parents? That's illegal in our country. How can we make them talk about students with no guardian's presence? How can we make them do that? How can we convict them of a crime because it didn't commit another crime? Nextly, we heard about the witnesses. We heard about Alex Lloyd being privileged because he had a father. We heard about Alex Lloyd being privileged because he came to as an individual. Alex Lloyd is not the only student that is very happy with education he got from New Columbia District, but Chris Moss is the only student that is charging the school for failure to teach. That should give you a question to ask. Why is only he charging the school when other students are happy with the education they got? About the responsibility that the prosecution so irresponsibly tackled. Well, how can we not take into account what a 17-year-old does? He's allowed to drive a car. He is allowed to whatever. He is allowed to buy something. He is allowed to go to school. he is allowed not to go to school. This is our responsibility. If he drives off from an accident, would we say, oh, he's 16, he shouldn't be held responsible because he's 16 and he doesn't have a father? Would we do that? No, we wouldn't. That's the same scale. We should not omit responsibility because he is 16, because he should be responsible by this age. We should not omit responsibility because he is fatherless, because we would not in other cases. When it comes to educational system in itself, let's take the hospitals, for example. When a patient leaves the hospital, does the hospital take any legal responsibility for what the patient does outside the hospital? Does the hospital take any responsibility if the patient dies on the street next to the hospital, even though the patient went out from his own will? No, the hospital doesn't get responsible for that. Why should the school be responsible for Christmas actions when he was outside the school? As Christmas said, as other witnesses said, Christmas liked the social class study. Still, he's charging the school, so as well the teacher of the social class, with educational malpractice. In here, again, 3 questions to consider when you go out there and give your verdict. First, failure to teach or failure to study. Second, responsibility is the most important part of being a teenager and learning. And third, responsibility of your parents is also a very important factor, and you should think about your future when you're a 16-year-old. Please think about reasonable doubt. Is there any doubt in your mind that the school is guilty? In my mind, there is a lot of doubt. If there is any in yours, you have to give a sentence, not guilty. Think about the witness that will make money if the plaintiff wins the case. Can you believe his statements? Doesn't it tackle the reasonable doubt? Please take into consideration failure to study, reasonable doubt, and responsibility. Thank you.
guilty. Please remain calm. The school is due to pay $12,000 for the future tutoring of Chris Moss, but will not pay for the court costs and the attorney. Thank you. The case is adjourned.